What's up, Endurifiers? This is Mario, and I'm back with another episode of Endurify. And I was just looking at it. I believe this is episode 194. So I'm getting super close to 200. We're almost up to 2,500 listens. And so I just really wanted to say thank you for your support. It means a lot, and it means a lot to me as I'm trying to get closer to that goal of doing an episode every single day for a year. And so today, what I want to talk about is just a conversation I had with a coworker and a friend who recently told me that he wants to do a half marathon and has a goal of doing a half Ironman as well. And so what I did is I had a conversation with him, and I wanted to share where I said that he should start if your goal is to someday complete a half Ironman. So, as a reminder, a half Ironman is a 1.2 mile swim, 56 mile bike, and then a half marathon. So a 13.1 mile run at the end. And so for this friend, I was really encouraging him to go for his half marathon. And then I told him about how I'm training for the half Ironman Des Moines on June 20th. And he was super excited about it. But I knew that he hadn't done triathlons yet. And so even though his ultimate goal is to complete a half Ironman, what I actually recommended is that he starts with a sprint triathlon. So a lot of people who aren't familiar with triathlons, they just assume every triathlon is like a full Ironman, which is, crazy. But what I told him is just start with a sprint triathlon just for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think it's just so much easier to be able to complete a sprint triathlon because you don't really need to train that much. For a lot of people, you can get by on anywhere from 4 to 10 weeks of training, definitely less. I know people who in my family or my brother-in-laws, they don't train at all. They show up on race day and they go all out. Sometimes they puke, sometimes they're sore, but they get it done. And so I think the first reason is, it's much easier to just train for a sprint triathlon and manage all of the other things that you have going on than a half Ironman. But number two, you get a feel for, is this something that you enjoy? Is this something do you enjoy the process of training? Do you have fun with the process of going through and showing up at the race and completing it? So I think it gives you that opportunity just to experience it, to try it out and see if you have fun with the whole process before committing to something that's a much bigger investment of a half Ironman. And then I think the third main reason that I would recommend starting off with a sprint triathlon is because it helps you develop race experience. So I think of all of the opportunities or all of the lessons that I've learned through triathlon, the most memorable ones happen during races because that's when kind of things are exposed most of the time. And it's better to get that race day experience through sprint triathlons, through Olympic distance triathlons, than waiting, training for 12 weeks, 16 weeks, 20 weeks, 24 weeks, and then showing up at a half Ironman and then making a mistake. So I just think that race experience is so important. And I think that, it's just really a good idea to get started with that sprint triathlon. So I think, that's just something that I was thinking about. It's, three kind of main reasons to start with a sprint tri. Number one is just way easier to train for, and it's not as big of an impact on your life. Number two, it gives you an opportunity to see, do you enjoy the process of training? And is it something that you have fun with? And then number three, it's the best way to get experience and to ultimately learn quicker, because it's through the experience that you're able to learn and adapt and improve. And so I think just this principle that I'm talking about really applies to a lot of different goals that we're trying to accomplish. So, instead of just, waiting to, or maybe you have a goal of like writing a book, right? And you need a whole book in order to say that you're a published author. Well, I would say that that's equivalent to an Ironman or a half Ironman. It's like, well, why don't you just write one chapter of your book? That would, to me, would be equivalent to the sprint triathlon. So, whatever your goal is, try and break it down into smaller, more tangible pieces and get started today. And so, with this coworker that I was talking to, I gave him a couple of sprint triathlon races. One is in like 2 or 3 weeks. Another one is in 4 to 6 weeks. And those are realistically 2 races that he could do, and he could show up and he could definitely finish them. He could, train a little bit for it. He could get that training experience. He could get that race day experience, and he could ultimately see if it's something that he really enjoys and something that he wants to get into before committing to a full Ironman or a half Ironman. And so just wanted to kind of share that story today, share that experience, because I know that there's a lot of different people who are listening to this. Some people are actively training for half Ironman races. Some people are just kind of getting introduced to it and just thinking about, is that possible for me? And I can 100% say that you can definitely do it, because when I got started with sprint triathlons, or with triathlons overall, I didn't own a bike. I wasn't a swimmer, I wasn't a runner, but I committed to it, and through the process have been able to really just learn a lot. It has completely changed my mindset, and it's something where I want to help more people experience that. So that is what I have for today. I hope that helps, and I hope you all have an amazing day.